Rob, big news this week, maybe the news of the week. Tom Brady landed a huge job with Fox Sports to call NFL games. So whenever he does retire in a year, in 2 years, whatever it is, he's going to become Fox's number one game color commentary guy. And what is so striking about the deal, Rob, is that he almost doubled what the highest paid announcer was getting, which was Tony Romo, with 10 years, who had a 10-year, $200 million deal. Tom Brady's is 10 years, $375 million, more than he ever than his total amount of money he made as an NFL quarterback in more than twice the time.
Right. He made
22 years.
317, right?
Yep. $317 million in 22 years, and he's going to get $375 million in 10 years. Unbelievable. And one of your issues with it, Rob, was that you don't think people tune in to games for the voice, whether it's
right.
Tom Brady, Tony Romo, Troy Aikman, Peyton Manning, whoever it might be. Drew Brees, they tune in for the game. And so why are you paying these guys that much? John Skipper.
And it doesn't mean, Chris, that great announcers don't add to the game. I like to hear Al Michaels call the game. I do.
Right.
But it doesn't determine whether I'm watching that game or not. The announcers enhance it, make it more enjoyable, but that is not. I've never been like, oh, wait a minute, Al Michaels is off tonight. Mike Tirico is filling in, Chris. I'm not going to watch Sunday Night Football.
Right.
Never.
I've heard games where I didn't like the announcer.
Right.
I'm not going to name names, but I didn't like the announcer. I didn't think they were
where
good.
you're like, they did not a good job. Right.
But I still watched the game. I was like, man, I wish they had a better announcer, but I still watched the game. And usually, Rob, what determines salary in this business?
Performance.
Ratings.
Right.
Well, ratings. And they're going to get the ratings with or without Tony Romo, Tom Brady, Drew Brees, whoever. And so I think that's your point. And John Skipper, former executive at ESPN, he was there when we both worked at the worldwide leader.
He was there when they didn't renew my contract. I remember John Skipper.
Yeah. He worked at ESPN the magazine when I wrote there. He played basketball when he made Basketball City in New York and leagues and all that stuff.
You know Mark Wright, who's down in Charlotte for ESPN. Mark, you know Mark.
Yes.
Because he worked at the magazine too.
Yes.
And I went to Mark Wright's wedding.
To Heather, right.
Yep. In Newark, New Jersey, and I sat next to John Skipper at the wedding.
Yep.
That
makes sense.
I know.
That makes sense. Yep.
I used to go into his office and talk to John. So anyway.
Yeah. So, but he was recently on the Dan Patrick Show, Rob, and here's what he said about this topic.
And I think there's only 3 or 4 people in the history of broadcasting who you genuinely can say that people tune in to see them, right? The late, great John Madden, who just recently passed, was one of those guys. Barkley right now is the guy in all of sports you can say people will turn in to see him.
I would say Howard Cosell, Rob.
Yep, in the day, no doubt.
Back in the day. And it's different, too, because you have different jobs. Like, to your point, Tom Brady could end up being the greatest broadcaster in the history of the world. But people are going to watch the games whether he's that or whether he's just mediocre.
Right.
For a Charles Barkley, they are tuning in to that show inside the NBA to see him or Shaq or whoever they like. There are certain, like our radio show.
Right.
If people listen to our radio show, they're listening for me and you.
Right. You don't know who's coming on, right, Chris, or what guests we have. That's not, you're listening, you're tuning in every day. You know Rob and Chris are going to be on. I want to hear the show.
Right.
And I agree with Charles Barkley. Like, that's where you can see somebody's worth, Chris, and value. You know ESPN, and you were a part of the musical chairs. They've tried for 20 years to get a post game show.
Rob,
You were on it, right?
I was
Chris?
on the NBA Countdown show
with
Magic,
you had Magic and
Michael
Wilbon
and
who was
John
the host?
Berry. John Berry. Well, it was just a
With no host.
We didn't
That's
have
right.
a host.
Right. That's right.
But it was to that point. That was back in 2011. They were saying the ratings were the highest they'd ever been. They loved the show, and then they took me and John Berry off of it after a year because Bill Simmons wanted to go back on it with Jalen
and
Rose.
they took y'all off.
And the challenge for that show, Rob, like the obsession, I'll say, was can we compete with Inside the NBA on TNT? That was what was the goal. And here's the difference. They've never been able to. Then, now, never. And here's why. Charles Barkley. That's it. It's not the production. It's not Ernie Johnson. It's not Kenny Smith, Shaq. Those guys are great. Ernie's won Emmys and deservedly so. They got a great the whole crew is great. But Rob, am I wrong? It's Charles Barkley. Period.
John Skipper's right, Chris. He moves the needle, and you're 100% right. And it's not nobody tunes in for Charles Barkley's X's and O's on basketball, Chris.
He ain't even giving them, really.
That's what I'm saying. And he's smart, though. He's smart, Chris, because you can let Kenny do the big screen, and you got Ernie, and you go to Chris Haynes and all these other people for other information. That's not what Charles delivers. Charles delivers insight, funny lines, commentary. He takes on people. I to this day, I still remember Charles saying one time, Chris, during a bad stretch of games, the NBA is unwatchable right now. You know, like, how many guys can say that on an NBA show, pregame show, right before the games are about to come on?
Right. Yeah, Rob, and this is one thing, you speak to a lot of students who want to get in this business. I speak to a lot of students who want to get in this business. And one thing I tell people, Rob, obviously get all the technical training you can. But there's a big it factor to this business. When you're talking about radio and television, there's an it factor, meaning either you have it or you don't. It's simple as that. There are guys that are technically sound, Rob, never make a mistake, never make a grammatical error, know the sports upside down, left side out, inside out, left and right, all that. But they don't have the it factor. Charles Barkley and that whole crew together has the it factor.
No doubt.
Stephen A. Smith has the it factor. There are certain people that just have it and you want to watch. They may not be the most technically sound.
Or the most
but they
polished.
Draw the eye. Right. Their personality, their charisma, whatever it might be, people want to watch.
Right.
You mentioned your column on Brady. I thought, Rob, Dr. J was going to be fantastic on television
Chris,
when he retired.
you saw the names I mentioned in there. Go ahead and talk about it. But Dr. J, he was on
Dr.
NBC.
J, right. And Dr. J, handsome. Everybody loved him. Street cred, crossover cred, mainstream cred, won a championship. He had it all. Articulate.
He checked all the boxes.
But he just didn't have the it factor, the energy, the charisma, too soft-spoken. You know what I mean? Like, all of that matters. And, so we'll see if Brady has it.
Right. And I mentioned this, too, because I mentioned Dr. J. Do you remember when Joe Montana quit after 9 games? Chris, he was on NBC, too. Again, just didn't have – he knows the game. He won 4 championships. What?
Right.
Joe Montana, this is a home run. No good. Emmitt Smith with the Cowboys. No good. ESPN fired Emmitt Smith. I mean,
right.
It ain't automatic.
No. I think Brady, just from his, really, to be honest, Rob, since he's been in Tampa Bay, he's been better.